Hi there guys, Sam here. Welcome back to another video. Join me once again in a MK7 Golf R to talk about my ownership thoughts on whether or not a Golf R is actually expensive to own. So let's get straight into this video. Just welcome back to another video. I hope everyone is all well. Now I actually really think this is an interesting topic and something I asked my community post to see if you lot were interested in, and it seems like you are. Now if you're not familiar with my channel, I own a Golf R. That's kind of where I started the channel from. Built up such a great community, whether it's been talking about the Mark 7s or going into the Golf 8R and the build up to that. And this kind of involves both of those kind of cars because, to be honest with you, running costs for both of them are actually quite the same. Something I think is really important if you're going to have a car for the long term, and a Golf R is definitely one of the cars that you can really say out of all of the performance cars, you can generally kind of live with them for the long term and it can be cost effective and all this kind of stuff. Now I'm quite meticulous in terms of how I gather my almost like service history that I kind of do with the car, any kind of change that happens with it, anything that goes on with the car, whether it's like a, refurbishing an alloy, changing a windscreen, any specific additions to a service that you don't really normally have, maybe from a different car, everything I kind of document. And I think that's important just to track whether or not a car is kind of justifying itself, if that makes sense. Now, to make it easy for you, if you don't want to watch the whole of this video, what I can say to you is it definitely is cost effective to own a Golf R. Forgetting the fact that I've done videos obviously about the value of these cars are quite strong at the moment, and I'm doing a bit of a series on that, which is very much true. To actually live with this car day to day, it's been absolutely brilliant. Now I came back from Coventry yesterday, and that was around a 150-mile drive there and back, and I was getting like 43 miles per gallon. So straight away on the economy side of things, for a car of 300 horsepower, with the weight it is with a four-wheel drive, I'm not really too fussed about getting any more than that for a petrol-powered car. And I just think that's pretty brilliant. And if you compared that to, say, like a 1-litre Golf with like a 3-cylinder engine, okay, you might be getting a little bit more, but not that much more. And I think that's the whole thing where it's like, when you're just kind of cruising and using this as an everyday car, it's just as good, if only like a small percentage worse off, and then obviously you're spending a little bit more fuel. Now, servicing wise, the only real thing that you have to kind of notice for the Golf Rs in comparison to other cars is its Haldex system. You have to have a Haldex service, but that service is every 3 years, and the costs for that range, depending if you're going to like VW, is anywhere from about £79 to about £110, I think. I think I was quoted around about £100, and that was fine. But for every 3 years, I think that's not exactly a high cost to be paying, particularly when you consider the value of the cars and everything else that comes with it. Now, that is the only thing that costs more in terms of like the actual servicing and maintenance of it. These EA AAA engines are used in so many different VW group cars, from Skoda, Octavia, VRSs, all the way up to, like, obviously you got your Audi S3s and your Golf Rs, and even just in your normal Golf GTIs. And that's a few things people have said to me as well. They don't really notice the difference. And actually one of the reasons why I bought this car was because the cost saving of getting a Golf GTI was negligible over a Golf R. And in fact, when I was particularly looking for a car 4 years ago, the Golf GTI actually held its money even better, and they actually cost a bit more, which was bizarre. But that's just how the times were. Obviously the heritage and the history of the GTI is stronger than the R. Oil, filter, spark plug changes, it's just the same. It's the same for any car. It's exactly the same as this one, and this is no different. Tyres, this is on 18s. You pay a little bit less for 18s. If you've got the 19-inch Pretorias, you pay a bit more, but they're not the fattest tyres. I think it's either 225 section or 235 sections on these. So they're not exactly that wide. Obviously you can get wider and you pay more for that, in line with what you'd kind of pay for a normal car, which again I think is great. My car has the Cadiz wheels, which are diamond cut wheels, and they're not the most expensive wheels if you did have to replace them, from what I've seen. And to refurbish one, I did a video on that a couple of years ago. I paid about £60 to refurbish the after an unfortunate curbing incident and that came up fine, so it wasn't a massive cost. Windscreen repair is just a normal Golf. Paid my excess, and I think they break it down how much the whole windscreen would cost if you didn't have an excess, 70 quid or whatever, my insurance company, and it was like 230 quid. So it's like those costs are all in line, and I think that's what you kind of got to look at when you're getting a car, is compare it to another car, because if you're going to have a car anyway, you're going to incur some costs. Now I'll go back to a video a couple of years ago actually from Tim, if you follow Shmee 150, and he he daily drove his FF. I know a completely different scenario, but what his argument was that he'd be in line with similar costs to if he had a top of the range BMW or a top of the range AMG. The costs are actually the same, potentially because of the residuals of the Ferrari and other little bits involved. It's not actually catastrophically expensive. And obviously you're driving around in a Ferrari, you're not driving around in a normal car. And I kind of see it with that way in a far lesser, more cost-effective scale. The fact that you can drive around in a Golf R and still have that special feeling, but not really have any of the drawbacks. And that's where it works quite well. Costs that have kind of hit me, services have been okay, to be honest. I haven't really ever got any sort of like R tax from sort of like the dealers and stuff. It's all seemed quite reasonable. They just kind of treat it like another car, which is quite nice. And as I've said before, all cars will need brake fluid changes. You know, all cars will need these basic things anyway, so you're going to have those costs whatever car you have. Tax wise, mine's in quite a nice tax bracket after April 2017. So I pay currently, well, I just recently renewed it, £155 tax. That's exactly the same as what I would have paid for my Fiesta ST, my Mark 7. So again, like for like, you know, you're not getting completely done over by having a car like this. One thing that actually does save me a bit of money, because of like the bi-xenon lights and the LED rear lights, is they never go, they never break, and we have a lot of potholes, and it's, you know, it's a firm car. It's not uncomfortable, but it's firmer. I had to replace at least, I think it was about every 2 years, I'd be replacing the rear lights, whether it be the centre rear light or the side lights at the back with a new bulb in the Fiesta. My one didn't have LEDs at the time. I know they did facelift it and it made it with LEDs. And that was a cost. I know it's a small cost, but it's an inconvenience, and it's sort of getting it all sorted. And again, that's something which is quite nice in this. Now, granted, if I cracked one of these lights, particularly the bi-xenons at the front, you're going to get hurt from it. In terms of actually the day-to-day running of it, it's really, really good. Obviously, this car is very Golf R obsessive, and you know, it's pretty obvious I'm going to say it's great. But I think for me, hopefully you can take my experience of having a car for 4 years and owning it and doing 32 and a bit thousand miles and sharing it all with you. And I actually, this is why I like the Golf AR as well, because I see the costs being very, very similar. It's the same engine. Okay, slightly different four-wheel drive system, you know, with the way it's all set up. I don't imagine there's any sort of extra servicing involved with that. Again, 8R owners might be able to chirp in and let me know if there is. But it's all good on that side. And obviously you've got the German reliability. Nothing really breaks in this car. Okay, one other cost as well, if you've got a DSG, you'll have to have DSG oil service. But then, again, if you had any DSG car or automatic, you're going to have a service for that anyway. So I love all these sort of like-to-like comparison. It's not like anything where you're sort of saying, oh well, that's got a you know, 6-cylinder engine, you're going to have to be, you know, we're going to have to do an extra 2 spark plugs and charge you X amount of money from it from a main dealer. I really do love that about these cars, and you can live with them and own them every day. Which I just think is fascinating in a world where, you know, cars aren't the most cost-effective thing in the world. You can, and hopefully my channel has almost kind of proven that in some ways. Otherwise I still wouldn't be sitting in it today. Normally for servicing, obviously you have your minor service, then you have your major service, and I'll budget a couple of £100 in my head every single year. You know, as low, sometimes it'd be just over £200 for sort of like a minor service, and then sort of £300 if you're doing a few more bits, up closer to maybe 350, 400 if you're getting a lot of stuff done, which doesn't happen as often. Again, I don't think that's too bad. Insurance-wise, the biggest thing that I found with actually getting cheaper insurance wasn't the fact of having an R over, say, like a Golf GTI, was actually having a manual over a DSG. Now, conveniently, I just liked a manual anyway, and the manual was cheaper to buy. But insurance quotes, it was almost 50% less for me to have a manual than it was to have a DSG. So it was like the icing on the cake for me. You know, that extra saving can go on petrol to drive the car. And due to it being a Golf and due to it having so many safety sensors, it does obviously help with insurance. Now, unfortunately, these cars obviously are at risk of being stolen, just because, you know, I see so many around. I saw one yesterday, actually, when I was coming back from Coventry. I doubt they were listening to the video. Limestone grey, but it was a modified Golf R, and it flew off. Looked great. So big shout out to you if you are watching this. In summary, all I can say to you is that it is cost effective. You know, I've gone through the figures. Let me know your thoughts in the comments of things that you'd like to know potentially. You know, I can kind of add on what I've said. There's a lot of knowledgeable people on this kind of community channel, so please like, share, subscribe, get involved into it as well. That's the biggest part of it. You know, it's growing so well, so thank you so much for that. And they'll also be able to provide any sort of information and thoughts on why they made their specific decision and whether or not it was expensive to run, or, you know, any problems or issues that they've had and found with that. But I certainly can vouch for the running costs of this car 100%. And okay, if you're 20 years old and you're trying to get insured on it, it's going to cost you a couple of grand. A couple of grand that I would not pay on insurance. Hence why I had a Fiesta ST in my early 20s. So yeah, if you're really young, it's probably not the car for you unless you've got really deep pockets. Which, trust me, as life goes on, you're better off saving that money. Trust me on that. And you'd always get a chance to drive these cars in the future. Petrol cars aren't going anywhere yet, you know, we're still holding on to them for a fair bit. Hopefully you enjoyed the sort of clips of just the car driving as well. I know it can sometimes be potentially not as an interesting topic, but I think it's important to say, because people who watch my channel might be thinking, well, actually, how much does Sam actually spend on this car? You know, I'm as transparent as I possibly can be, and I fundamentally absolutely love the car. And it's going to take some really harsh external factors to kind of get me to change my mind. And you know, I don't think any of those are going to come into play, certainly over the next couple of years. 5 to 10 years, who knows, we'll just have to see. The EA888 engine as well, one thing, is really built solid and well, and because I suppose they are fettled with quite a lot, so there's a lot of expertise in that kind of area. I've heard bad things about sort of like the 1.5 TSI engine from the Golf, so them having some pretty major issues, even with like the new models. So no engine is sort of immune to problems, but I think ones which have been used and tried and tested over such a long period of years, obviously this is developed over even since like the Mark 6, and I think that's a great thing, and it gives me a lot of confidence that if I want to go somewhere, this car is never going to let me down, and so far it hasn't, and credit to the car for that. And it's nice to have a little bit of money saved in the back pocket as well, over the running costs, which is just really hard to say with a car with 300 brake horsepower like a Golf R. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and you know, you'll look after your money too, so win-win. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share, subscribe if you've enjoyed it. Get involved in the comments. If there's anything else you want to add as well, potentially around the running costs that I've missed, please let me know and I'll be sure to bring that up in a future video. And also you can see it in the comments anyway. So yeah, great stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers, guys.